On this part, we're going to talk about the users section. And in here, we do see that we have some hard-coded data. On this part, we're going to update the view, and we are going to also update the controller so we can load the users from the database. For that, let's go to Visual Studio. In here, let us first go to the controller. And then in here, in the controllers, go to the authentication controller, where you can see that we have an action named users, which just returns a view. It doesn't have any hard-coded users data, so it just returns a view. And in that view, we have hard-coded the users that you could see on the screen. So if I go to the Solution Explorer and then go to Views, then Authentication, and then Users. In here, you can see that for each user, we have 3 separate divs. I'm just going to remove the extra 2. I'm just going to keep this one because then by using a for each loop, I can iterate in this div and display different users. Let us go back to Authentication Controller. And in here, to get the users from the database, we need to first create an instance or a reference of the AppDB context and inject the AppDB context in the controller, and then set the value and use the AppDB context to get the users from the database. So for that, I'll just type private AppDB context. I'm going to name this just underscore context. And then down here, I'm just going to type public, the controller name, which is authentication controller. Pass as a parameter in here the AppDB context, and then set the value down here. Now that we have a reference of the AppDB context here on the users, I just type var users is equal to, and then context dot users dbset property dot to list, and this way I get all the users from the database. Then I'm going to pass the users to the view. And since I passed the users to the view, what we need to do is that we need to also update the model for the users.c#html. So for that, in here at the top, you're just going to type at model. The model for this view is going to be a list of user. But we can see that we have an error. So basically, the user is not identifiable here on this view. And that's because when we created the data project, we did move the user model to that project, but we didn't update the view imports view. So let us just go to the Solution Explorer. And then here, let us just go to View Imports. And then in here, I'm just going to add using then shortly dot data project dot models. And this is what you need to import in here. Now, if I go to the URL, you can see that the error is gone. Now down here, I'm going to add a for each loop. So add for each, and then var user in the model, which is now a list of users. I'm going to add this div. So I'm just going to cut, Control X, and then paste it in here. And then I'll just scroll up. I'm going to change the card title value in here to be at user dot email, but I don't have an email property yet, so I'm just going to use the full name. And now let us save the changes and then run this project. So now in here, let us go to the users. And here we can see that we have a single user, but we still have not updated the text in here to reflect the actual values for the user. And also when you click the Show Details button, we want to show the actual links that this user has shortened.